Logan Carter thought he had moved on. He buried himself in work, in the gym, in fleeting distractions that never stuck. But the moment he saw Willow again across the street, laughing with someone new, his world tilted. She was glowing, radiant, and on the arm of another man, her fiancé. A rush of memories flooded back. The way her eyes crinkled when she smiled. The quiet mornings they spent tangled in bedsheets. The fight that tore them apart, his walls, his fears, his pride. She had wanted all of him, and he only ever gave her half. But seeing her happy without him awakened something Logan had buried. The truth. He never stopped loving her. With a fire he hadn't felt in years, Logan makes a decision: he won't let her go without a fight. But this time, it's not about grand gestures or winning her back overnight. It's about becoming a man worthy of love, of trust, of her. He starts therapy, reconnects with his estranged father, quits the job that made him numb, and starts teaching art to underprivileged kids, something he always dreamed of but never dared. Along the way, he writes letters to Willow never sent, filled with the words he wished he had said. Meanwhile, Willow is battling her own doubts. Her fiancé, Andrew, is safe, stable, and kind, but not passionate, not fire and poetry like Logan once was. When fate throws Logan and Willow together again, a mutual friend's wedding, a flat tire on a rainy day, the tension between them simmers. Willow sees the change in him, but the scars of their past make her wary. Logan, now more grounded, doesn't push. He respects her space, her choices, even if they hurt. But life has a way of testing hearts. A family emergency brings them even closer, and in one quiet moment, Logan finally reads her one of his letters. "You don't owe me anything," he says. "But I needed you to know I found myself again because I lost you." It was raining again, the kind of rain that made everything feel heavier, quieter. Willow sat in her car outside the community art center, windshield wipers dragging slowly back and forth. She hadn't meant to be here. Her plan was to drop off donated supplies and leave before anyone saw her. But then she saw Logan through the window, crouched beside a little girl, showing her how to mix colors on a paper plate. He was smiling, not the kind of smile he wore for show, but something softer, real. Something inside Willow cracked. Later, as she turned to leave, he caught her. "Willow." She froze, slowly turned. "Hey, you came." "Just dropping off some paints. Figured the kids might put them to better use than my closet." He nodded, tucking his hands into his jacket pockets like he always did when he was nervous. "You want to come in?" She hesitated. "I can't. I have to meet Andrew for dinner." "But, Andrew." But before she could walk away, Logan reached into his satchel and pulled out a weathered envelope. Her name was written across the front, in his handwriting, familiar and aching. "I wrote this months ago. I never planned to give it to you. But it's yours." Willow sat on her apartment floor that night, legs curled beneath her, the letter resting in her lap like it weighed 100 pounds. She didn't know what she expected. Maybe apologies, regret. But it was more than that. "Willow, you once asked me what I was afraid of. I never answered because I didn't know how to say it out loud. I was afraid of being known. Fully. I was afraid you'd see the worst parts of me, the messy, uncertain, cracked parts, and walk away. But you didn't. I pushed you away and you still stayed. Until you couldn't anymore. And I don't blame you for that. I'm not writing this to ask you back. I'm writing this to say thank you. For loving me when I didn't know how to love myself. And for leaving because it forced me to grow. But if there's still a part of you that wonders, if there's a part of you that remembers what we were when we were good, I'm here. Not waiting. Just open. There's Logan." Tears slipped down her cheeks. 3 days passed. Willow hadn't spoken to Logan since the letter. But it stayed in her purse, folded and worn like a secret. Like a weight. Andrew noticed. "Everything okay?" he asked one night as they were eating takeout on the couch. "You've been quiet." She gave him a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Just work stuff." But it wasn't. It was everything else. She loved Andrew. In a way that was warm and steady. The kind of love her mother told her was sensible. He made plans. He made her laugh. He kissed her forehead in the mornings and asked how her day went. But Logan wrecked her. In the best and worst ways. She traced Logan's handwriting like it might give her answers. The way he wrote her name still like it mattered. Still like it hurt. "I don't expect anything," he'd said. "I just needed you to know." But now that she knew, how could she forget? She poured herself a glass of water and stood at the window, watching the quiet city, wondering if Logan was awake somewhere too. Wondering if he meant it when he wrote that he didn't expect her to respond. Because part of her wanted to. Not with words. Not yet. But maybe with a walk to his neighborhood. Coffee shop they used to haunt. Favorite bench in the park. A kind of breadcrumb that said, "I'm still here. I haven't chosen yet." But wasn't that a betrayal? Andrew stirred in the bedroom. She heard the sheets shift. The way he always reached for her even in his sleep. Guilt pressed into her ribs like a stone. She didn't want to hurt him. God, he didn't deserve that. But wasn't it worse to lie with your whole life? By morning she had made a decision. Not the decision, but a step. She texted Logan. "Can we talk?" Logan didn't reply right away. She told herself she didn't care. That it didn't mean anything. That she could still walk away. But by noon her phone buzzed. "Logan." "Of course. Just say when." 3 words. Simple. No pressure. No expectation. Then she saw him. Logan looked the same but not. Still worn in jeans and a threadbare hoodie. But his shoulders sat differently now, more settled. Like he'd finally learned how to carry himself without apology. "Hey," he said, voice careful, cautious. She swallowed. "Hey." He sat beside her but not too close. He stared out across the park. "I didn't think you'd reach out," he said. "I didn't think I would either." A silence stretched between them. Not angry. Not even awkward. Puzzle. "I don't know what I'm doing," she admitted. Logan nodded, almost smiling. "Yeah, me neither." Willow looked at him, then really looked. The curve of his jaw. The way he tapped his thumb against his leg, still anxious. Still Logan. "I'm with someone," she said. "I know. I love him." "I know," he said again, softer. She looked away. "But you, when I read the letter, it brought everything back." Logan ran a hand through his hair. "It wasn't fair. Writing to you like that. I needed you to know I wasn't the same person who left." "You're not." She said it like a fact. And that was the problem. Another silence. She felt the wind pick up, tug at her hair. "I'm not asking you to choose," Logan said after a moment. "Not right now." Willow turned to him. "But that's what it comes down to, doesn't it?" He didn't answer. It was raining again when everything came to a head. Willow and Andrew were walking home from dinner when he reached for her hand, and she pulled away without thinking. He stopped. "What's going on, Willow?" She opened her mouth, closed it, swallowed hard. Did something happen? She couldn't lie. Not anymore. "I saw Logan," she said quietly. Andrew blinked. "Okay. And?" "He gave me a letter." Andrew stood still. "And you read it?" She nodded. For a long beat, neither of them spoke. Cars passed. Rain tapped softly against umbrellas. Then Andrew sighed. "I've always known part of you never left him. I just hoped. Maybe over time." He didn't sound angry. Just tired. "I don't want to be someone's second choice," he said finally. "Even if you love me, I don't want to win you. I want you to choose me." Willow's eyes welled up. "I don't want to hurt you," she whispered. "I know." Willow didn't move for a long time. The rain had begun to soak through her coat, but she barely felt it. Her thoughts were louder than the city, louder than the cars, louder than her heartbeat. Andrew's words echoed in her chest like a bell. "Make sure it's what you want." She walked home alone, umbrella unopened. Her hands were cold. Her heart was colder. Inside the apartment it was too quiet. The photos on the wall stared back at her smiling faces frozen in time, in certainty. The couch still held the imprint of the night they watched reruns and ate takeout. The kitchen smelled faintly like him coffee and cinnamon and something else she could never name. Willow sat on the floor. She didn't cry. Not yet. Not better. Not worse. Just clearer. She packed a small bag. Not because she was leaving forever, but because she needed space. Real space. Not just the kind you make in conversations or between half-truths. She left Andrew a note. Simple. Honest. I need time. This isn't goodbye, it's a pause. Love you. Please know that. He opened the door in sweatpants and a confused look. Willow. I'm not here to make a choice, she said quickly, clutching the strap of her bag. I'm not ready for that. But I needed to stop pretending I didn't need to figure it out. He stepped aside. Wordlessly. Let her in. She walked past him into the small, cluttered living room that already felt a little like home. Books on the coffee table. A blanket tossed on the arm of the couch. A life lived in honest mess. I'm scared, she said, facing him. Me too, he replied. She exhaled. The tension in her shoulders eased just a little. And for the first time in weeks, she let herself cry. Logan didn't speak. He didn't move. He just waited. And when she finally sat down, curling her knees to her chest, he sat beside her, not touching, not assuming, just there. The rain outside kept falling, soft and steady. It didn't fix anything, but maybe finally it was enough to start. Logan made tea because it was something to do with his hands. Willow was on the couch, wrapped in his old throw blanket, staring at nothing. Her eyes were red, her shoulders small. He hated how much he still loved her, especially now, when loving her meant waiting. Again. But this time it felt different. This time she wasn't running from her feelings. She was walking straight into the fire, even if she didn't know what she'd find on the other side. He placed the tea on the table in front of her. Chamomile, he said softly. I don't know. It felt like a chamomile kind of day. She gave him the smallest smile. Thanks. He sat down across from her, not speaking, just watching her tuck her knees tighter, sip slowly. After a long moment she looked up. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm glad you are, he said anyway. Willow nodded, tears brimming again. It's not fair. To either of you. No, it's not. He didn't try to make her feel better. She didn't need comfort. She needed truth. But fair doesn't always matter. What matters is what's real. She stared into her tea like it might offer answers. And what if what's real isn't simple? Then it's worth fighting for. The silence after that felt heavy but not hopeless. They spent the rest of the day speaking in soft voices, or not at all. She borrowed a pair of his socks and curled into his couch. He made them grilled cheese. They watched an old movie they used to quote in college. No one laughed at the same parts anymore. But it didn't feel like a loss, it just felt changed. That night, Willow didn't stay. She stood at his doorway with her bag slung over her shoulder, the city humming behind her. I need to be alone for a little while, she said. I get it. She hesitated. You're not waiting, are you? Willow stood there, rain in her hair, clutching something to her chest. You kept the letter, he said, voice low. I've read it 12 times, she replied. Silence stretched between them, heavy and full. I don't know if this ends the way either of us want, she said finally. But I needed to come here. I needed to tell you. She stepped closer. I never stopped loving you either. But I'm not the same person I was when we fell apart. And if we do this, it has to be different. Logan swallowed hard. Then let's do it differently. Not for the past. For who we are now. They hadn't spoken much after last night. There wasn't much to say, not yet. But the silence between them had changed. Less weight, more warmth. I told my sister, Willow said quietly, her voice barely above the hum of the coffee machine. About you. About this. She said I was either brave or stupid. Logan glanced over his shoulder, half smiling. I've always admired that about you. The fine line you walk between courage and chaos. She really laughed for the first time in weeks. Still a charmer. They were trying piece by piece. Dinners that ended in honest conversation, not silence. Walks through the neighborhood that turned into long talks about where things went wrong. Therapy sessions. But rebuilding meant facing more than just each other. Not everyone was thrilled. Willow's best friend Marla didn't hold back. You're going back to him? She asked, disbelief sharp in her voice. After what he put you through. It's not about going back, Willow said steady. It's about moving forward. With eyes open this time. Logan had his own ghosts. His father, distant and skeptical, called their reunion a sentimental mistake. Logan didn't argue. He didn't need to. He knew who he was now and, more importantly, who he wasn't anymore. There were slips. Days when one of them shut down. Nights when trust felt too fragile. Old habits lingered like shadows, waiting. Like us, Willow said. Different. Little messy. But somehow, it works. They started a community workshop. A mix of art, healing, and storytelling. People came young, old, broken, rebuilding. And in those stories, Willow and Logan found something larger than themselves. Not redemption. Not a fairy tale.